The coronavirus initially brought concern to equity investors and pushed gold up at the start of the outbreak. But we want to look at how alternative assets are reacting, like Bitcoin. Joining me today is Clem Chambers of InvestorsHub.com. Clem, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
Well, Bitcoin, one of your favorite assets, has climbed from 7,000 at the start of the year to now, as we speak, we're around 10,000. How much of this do you feel is due to the scare we're seeing here from the virus?
A lot of it, because, Bitcoin is the digital gold, and, people have run to it, particularly in Asia, because it's much easier to travel with Bitcoin than it is gold. I mean, in the old days, people would have bought gold big time, and it has pushed prices up. But, Bitcoin has, 4 or 5 times more volatility than gold, so it's traveled a lot further. Because just say you're in China and you wanted to get out, it's a bit late now, you can't really do it. But, you can't take gold through the airport, but you can take as much Bitcoin as you can carry in a smart stick. In fact, all you have to do is buy it, and when you show up in another country, there it is on the internet. So, it is the flight asset of choice at the moment,
right? Because
it is so flexible.
Well, it depends how much gold you want to take out. I mean, you've seen an ounce of gold is really not that big. And it depends what form you own your gold in. You might own, a pool account, or, it doesn't have to be physical gold.
Well, most people, don't have sophisticated abilities to move money around, and it's very hard to move money around these days. And if you go through the airport with more than $10,000 of gold, you're going to get yourself in trouble or get your gold confiscated. And if you thought you might have to live in America for 9 months, for example, you're going to need a lot more than $10,000. So, Bitcoin is something that you can trade and turn into money very, very quickly and very, very easily. And think about it. If you had to leave America tomorrow with, say, $500,000, how would you do that if you didn't have a bank account abroad? And even if you did, how would you get the money to that bank account in these days of KYC and AML? It just can't be done. And gold, that's a lot of gold. So 500 ounces.
Okay, so you feel this is making more of a case for Bitcoin?
Well, Bitcoin is now proven to be of use because you can buy it and turn it into fiat very, very quickly, very, very easily, internationally. So if you had to make plans quickly, as a lot of people in Asia, I'm sure, are worrying about getting kettled in their cities, and not just in China, you want to have the ability to take $100,000, $200,000, $1 million, $5 million worth of asset abroad with you.
But you can't get locked out of your wallet. I just had Peter Schiff on the show, well-known gold bug who was gifted Bitcoin and can't use his Bitcoin because he was locked out of his wallet. So there are still limitations. Like, you can't physically hold your Bitcoin, and what happens if you forget your password? And it's not always such a piece of cake, Clem.
I never said it's a piece of cake, but, it's impossible to move $1 million of gold across borders in this day and age at extremely short notice. That is not the case for Bitcoin.
Let's talk about a very important event happening for Bitcoin in May, the halving, or halvening as some people call it. Could you explain to us why this process is so important to understand, and what we can expect from prices?
Well, interestingly enough, what happens when you mine, or when you actually look after the blockchain, is you get paid rewards. Now, the Bitcoin reward is 12.5 Bitcoins every time a piece of blockchain accounts is done. And because of that, there are huge quantities of computing out there trying to do that job. Now, in May, I think it's May the 12th or something around there, the reward is going to halve. And every now and again, probably every 4 years, the reward halves. And the supply of new Bitcoin that enters the market drops. So if you can imagine it with gold, it would be like half the gold miners stopping digging up gold every 4 years. So the supply of new Bitcoin will halve in May. Most people think that will mean that over time, Bitcoin's value will double. Now, it also means with the halvening that there'll be less Bitcoin, new Bitcoin, than actually the rate of inflation in the West at the moment. So there'll actually be the equivalent of deflationary pressure on Bitcoin for the first time, as opposed to the other currencies out there.
So what are you expecting this to do to the price? How has it changed your forecast?
Oh, I think you're seeing this actually producing what you can see as a very clear bull market now. And the coronavirus has actually just accelerated that. So you've got this halvening coming. Everybody knows it's coming, and markets react well in advance of that. And that's slowly but surely pushing the price up. Well, not so slowly. It's now over 10,000.
Right.
And then you've got the coronavirus, which is also added to that. So I think you'd see the price a lot lower without the virus, but nonetheless, it will be moving up to the halvening and probably well after that as well.
Right.
Where it goes from here, difficult to judge.
Okay, but when you hear talk of 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, when does it start becoming outrageous for you?
Well, I mean, I'm going to start breaking out in a sweat at about $25,000 a coin.
Okay, so for investors, I meet people every day who are saying, it just looks so high at this price. Like, how do you know? Is it too late? Should I get in? And of course, it's such a difficult question to answer. But what would be your words of wisdom here?
If you don't know, don't do it. Simple as that. With all investments, and in fact, a gold miner told me this. He said, if you think it's gold, it isn't. If you know it's gold, it is. And that goes for any investment. If you think you should buy, don't buy it.
Okay.
If you know you should buy it. So if you've got any questions at all, leave it alone. If you know you've got to buy some, buy some.
Yeah, so fully understand Bitcoin. Outside of this crypto, Clem, are you invested in any others that you like right now?
Well, I've got mainly Bitcoin. In fact, I've been swapping out of the secondary cryptos. I do have Monero. I do have a crazy little one called Raven. I do have an even more crazy one called Dogecoin. I just love that one. But 90% of my crypto is Bitcoin because that is the benchmark.
Right.
And if you're going to have that as part of a diversified portfolio of assets, then Bitcoin's the one to hold.
So I guess you're not diversifying with any gold.
Well, I like gold, but, Bitcoin is 5x gold. So I don't need any gold. I've got lots of other assets. I'm very diversified.
Okay.
Lots and lots of equities. And I use the Bitcoin as a hedge against the equities because it gives me 5 times the coverage on the downside on the equities. So it's a very useful hedge in addition to this long-term upside. So hedge your equities with Bitcoin and also look to the upside. That's how I see it. And, if you think Bitcoin is amazing, buy it. If you're not sure, don't go near it.
Clem Chambers, keeping it real. Thank you so much for joining us today. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
See you soon.
And thank you for watching. We'll have much more for you on Kitco News.